now been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, my apologies to you for the delay in getting started today. Oftentimes, as I have explained to you, there are facts and circumstances regarding the people involved in this case that the court has no control over. And things happened this morning that we were just not able to get started when we had hoped to get started. I apologize to you for the inactivity and downtime. I realize that you would much rather be here participating with us than being cooped up in those little rooms, and I understand that you're there, and believe me, one of the things that weighs heaviest on my mind is knowing where you are and what you're doing. But unfortunately, these things happen, and we've tried to get up to speed and running as fast as we could this morning. And with that said, Detective Lange, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're reminded you're still under oath. Mr.
Yes,
Cochran, you may conclude your cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Detective Lange. When we concluded our cross-examination yesterday, I'd ask you some questions about this, what's called a rape kit. A rape kit is basically the ability of the coroner's office to obtain trace evidence, generally in the pubic area of a male or female. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And so no one has to be raped in order to take a swab of the genital area of male or females. Isn't that correct?
I believe they look for evidence of a sexual assault prior to that being done.
All right. They may very well do that, but they can take the evidence without any evidence of a particular rape. Isn't that correct?
I've never known that. There's usually evidence of such things before that would happen.
Well, I guess what I'm asking you, in order to collect trace evidence, one could check the pubic hairs of a particular decedent. Isn't that correct?
If one were looking for trace evidence, certainly.
Yes, and one could check the cervix area of a female. Isn't that correct?
Certainly.
And I think you indicated to us they do this by using some kind of a swab. Is that correct?
It's correct, as well as visual examination.
All right. And then they can make some kind of trace analysis. The coroner's criminalists can do this after the decedent, after these swabs are taken from the decedent. Isn't that correct?
Certainly.
Now, Detective Lange, when you arrived at the scene at Bundy there at 425, you knew nothing about this case except you had two dead bodies. Isn't that correct?
No, I was informed that one of the victims...
Now, I'm talking about when you first, so we understand each other. When you first got there, what did you know?
That one of the victims was the ex-wife of Mr. O.J. Simpson.
All right. But did you know anything else other than that?
Just that there was a male victim and a female victim.
Right. So you didn't know anything about the time of death, did you?
No.
You didn't know at that time initially how these two individuals had met their death, did you?
No.
And as part of your investigation, as an investigator, would you agree with your homicide manual that the preliminary examination and investigation is very, very important and very paramount? Would you agree with that?
I agree that all aspects of the investigation are very important.
Specifically, the things you do at the very beginning. Isn't that a fair statement?
Certainly.
And your note-taking is also very important in that regard, is it not?
Yes.
And you would agree that in seeking to charge someone with a double homicide, the issue of the time of death may become very relevant. Would you agree with that?
It could, yes.
And, sir, with regard to a particular decedent, either decedent in this case, wouldn't you think it would be relevant to determine the last individual that either one of these decedents came in contact with?
That's certainly something that would be taken into consideration.
For if, let's assume that in the case of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson, she had a visitor at her residence as late as 10:30 p.m. Would that be relevant to you to know that?
I had no evidence or information that that was the case.
I didn't ask you that.
If, in fact, that were the case, I'd certainly want to speak to that person, yes.
Right. The question is, if she'd had a visitor as late as 10:30 p.m. on June 12th, 1994, that would be relevant, would it not?
I would think so.
In fact, you would like to know, or would you like to know, whom she talked to on the phone that particular evening, wouldn't you?
Certainly.
And if you had evidence that you'd had a visitor that evening, as you said, you'd want to talk to that person, wouldn't you?
I would.
Now, the two Simpson children were taken down to the West Los Angeles Police Station, isn't that correct?
That's what I was told, yes.
And at some point, you are aware that one of the officers who were looking after these children, may I finish the statement, Your Honor? This will not be hearsay. May I finish the statement?
Then may I work with you with counsel?
Sure.
Why don't you counsel with counsel?
In lieu of sidebar.
Thank you.
And be able to resolve.
All right, let me see counsel. Sometime you were aware that officers at the West LA station were looking after the children.
Thank you. Couldn't find it on one of the screens.
And his answer, I think, was, yes, somebody told me that.
All right. Let me just try to restate it, Your Honor. At some point in the course of your investigation, you became aware that one of the officers at the West Los Angeles station talked to the elder daughter, the daughter of Mr. Simpson, Mr. and Mrs. Simpson, at West Los Angeles station. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And you know the nature of that purported conversation. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
And that conversation took place at what time in the early morning hours of June 13th, 1994?
I don't know the time.
It would be after the children were taken down to the station. Isn't that correct?
I would assume that, yes.
And you read the purported statement, did you not?
Yes.
You sort of exceeded the court's largesse in allowing this.
Certainly, Your Honor. I appreciate the court's largesse.
All right.
And with regard to that, did you then yourself or anyone under your direction go and talk to Sidney Simpson about the
Yes.
statement she had made?
I did not personally, but I had that done.
And who did that?
The Brown family.
The Brown family?
I was informed that the
Well, just a
children
moment.
were...
Let's be responsive if you can. Who in the Brown family? Can you answer that?
Denise Brown.
And when was that?
Sometime
Yes,
after.
I think we have Denise Brown in the audience here. If we're going to
Maybe she stepped out
discuss.
of
Ms. Brown, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave since
Thank
we're
you, Your Honor.
discussing facts and circumstances that involve you in the case. Thank you. All right, Denise Brown is withdrawn from the courtroom.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me see if I understand this correctly. You asked Denise Brown to talk to Sidney Simpson?
Would you like me to explain it to you,
No.
sir?
No, I want you to answer my questions first, if you can do that, please, sir.
I-
Your Honor, that's an objection. That's argumentative. This witness is allowed to explain his
I'm
answers.
asking the questions,
No,
Your
the
Honor.
question.
Counsel's cutting him off.
Ask the question, Mr.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Cochran.
Did you ask Denise Brown to talk to Sidney Simpson?
That's correct.
All right. When did you ask her to do that?
Sometime after learning about the statement.
Well, when, sir?
I don't know when exactly.
Do you know what month it was in?
I believe it was probably in the month of July, perhaps.
July of 1994.
Yes,
All right.
correct.
And were you present when and if she ever talked to Sidney Simpson?
No, I was not.
Did you write a report with regard to this?
No.
There are no police reports at all written with regard to your request and what happened after that regarding this conversation?
Would you like me to explain again?
I'm asking you, can you answer the question? The question is, are there any
I'm
reports?
trying to. There are no reports.
When you made the request of Denise Brown to talk to Sidney Simpson, did you do that over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
And do you yourself ever make an effort to speak to either of the children?
No.
Did you ever ask any other police officer to speak to either of the children?
I did not want to do that because of the circumstances described to me by the Brown family.
The question is, did you ask any police officer to speak to either of the children, sir?
I did not.
Now, do you have that logged anywhere that you asked Denise Brown to talk to Sidney Simpson? Is that logged in your log anywhere? In any of those 5 books you have there?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever talk with the police officer who spoke with Sidney Simpson on the early morning hours of June 13th, 1994?
I believe I had that done by another officer in checking out her statement to see if it was accurate.
That's not, I ask you, did you ever ask? Could you just,
I would not have done it then. I had it done by someone.
all right, who did you have it done by?
I believe it was Detective Phillips.
And did you write a report based upon what you asked Detective Phillips to do?
There was nothing to write, no.
There are no reports in
No.
that connection? What was the name of the officer or officers who spoke with Sidney Simpson on the night or the early morning hours of June 13th?
I don't recall. It was the female officer who transported her to the station.
Do you have a report there that would refresh your recollection regarding that?
There's probably a report in there.
Can you find it for us?
Yes.
Please, sir. Maybe I can approach you on it. May I approach it? Save some time.
Why don't you show that to counsel? You may.
I'd like to place before you, sir, Los Angeles Police Department continuation sheet form 15.09. And so since we're referring to this, should I mark this in to that point?
I think you're just using it to refresh his recollection,
Yes,
correct?
at this point.
All
All
right.
right, very well. I'd like to place this before you and ask you if you would read, why don't you read the last three paragraphs and see whether or not that refreshes your recollection. Writing the name of the officer who spoke to Sidney Simpson in the early morning hours of June 13, 1994.
Okay?
Have you now read that?
Yes.
And does that refresh your recollection of as to the name of the police officer that you had in mind who spoke with Justin and overheard a conversation between Justin and Sidney that night?
I may have missed that part. The officer's name was there?
Let me maybe start those paragraphs.
No, I didn't see the officer's name there.
Why don't you start? Why don't you start with that paragraph, too?
I'm sorry, I do not see the officer's name. Okay.
All right, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And what is the name of the officer who spoke with Sidney Simpson and overheard the conversation between Sidney and Justin?
Objection, this seems back on the evidence.
Sustained.
Well, let me rephrase it. What is the name of the officer who spoke with Sidney Simpson?
Officer Vasquez.
And is that a male or female officer?
It's female.
And it's an officer in West Los Angeles?
That's correct.
And is that the same officer that you asked Phillips to talk with at some
Yes.
point? And do you have any other reports in connection with anything that was said to the children other than this page that I've shown you at this point?
No.
Did you make more than one request to Denise Brown? Strike that. Did you request anybody else in the Brown family to talk to either of the children other than Denise Brown?
The recollection is that the request was made to the entire family.
All right, and that Denise Brown stepped forward? The family chose her?
When I made the request, Denise
Can you
Brown...
just answer that? How did Denise Brown end up being the one who was
Well-
appointed? Do you know that? Did you ask her?
I was going to explain that.
Well, I'm trying to get you just to answer the question.
Objection, Your Honor, he's allowed to
Wait,
explain if he
wait,
needs to.
wait.
Matt, ask the question.
No, but your question, he was allowed to answer the question.
Trying to ask a specific question so I can get a specific answer, Your Honor, an answer that's not a rambling long answer. So
Why don't you
may I
rephrase
ask
the
again?
question then?
Yes. Did you ask Denise Brown to talk to either one of these children? Yes or no?
Yes.
And was that after you had asked the General Brown family to talk to the children?
I believe the first request was to Denise Brown.
All right. And as near as you can tell, that was in July of 1994. Is that right?
I don't have a very accurate recollection of when that was. It was shortly after reading that report.
All right. And when you say that report, you refer to the report that I have in my hand?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, I'd like to mark this report at least at this point as Defendant's Nixon order.
All right,
Defendant's 1042.
1042.
Counsel has seen it, Your Honor, at this point. Now, in the course of your investigation, do you know who Faye Resnick is?
Yes.
And how did you become aware of the name Faye Resnick in the course of your investigation?
When I learned that Faye Resnick was a friend of the victim, Nicole Brown Simpson.
In the course of your investigation, did you learn that Faye Resnick moved in and started living
Objection,
with
Your Honor.
Nicole?
Objection. It's all assumed facts, not evidence.
Sustained.
Ask him.
Sustained.
Did you learn, in the course of your investigation, whether or not Faye Resnick moved in with Nicole Brown Simpson on Friday, June 3rd, 1994?
This is the same.
I'm asking, did you learn that?
Sustained. Sustained.
In the course of your investigation, did you ever ascertain whether or not Miss Nicole Brown Simpson had anyone who lived with her in the month before June 12th, other than the children?
I had heard there was someone living with her, yes.
All right, you heard that in the course of your investigation?
Yes.
And did you pin it down and find out that someone had actually moved in with her in the month of June of 1994? Did you ascertain that in the course of your investigation?
That was information that I did receive, yes.
And did you find out at some point in the course of your investigation that Faye Resnick moved in with Nicole Brown Simpson on or about June 3rd, 1994?
Same
You found out.
Overruled.
Same objection. Hearsay, no foundation.
Overruled.
That is what I had heard, yes.
And did you verify that?
I personally had no way of verifying that.
Well, did you ever talk to Faye Resnick?
I did not interview her. I believe my partner in the district attorney's office interviewed Ms.
All right.
Resnick.
Well, who's your partner?
Detective Van Etter.
All right, and as such, he is the co-lead investigator in this case, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And did you not find out,
Objection, hearsay.
may I finish the question?
Yes.
Did you not find out in the course of your investigation that in truth and in fact, Faye Resnick became a resident at 875?
Let me see counsel with the sidebar, please. Gentlemen, be seated. Mr. Lange, you can step down. All right, records reflect the jury has withdrawn to the jury room. Mr. Darden, let me give you a piece of advice. Take about 3 deep breaths, as I'm going to do, and then contemplate what you're going to say next. You want to take a recess now for a moment?
I don't require a recess, Your Honor.
All right. I'll hear your comment at this point. I've cited you. Do you have any response?
I would like counsel, Your Honor.
You can have counsel. You have counsel. You want to call your counsel? You want to have somebody from your appellate division come down?
I'd like to hear what Mr. Darden's going to have, Your Honor.
You represent Mr. Darden in this matter?
I don't know if I'm legally entitled to, but I would like to be heard on his behalf.
All right.
What we are all concerned about here, Your Honor, is that there is a method of cross-examination that is being conducted by Mr. Cochran
It's
that
not
has
what I'm interested in, Ms. Clark.
and that but that is the impetus for the exchange at Sidebar, Your Honor. And we are, all of us, greatly concerned about what the jury is getting. They're getting, that is the impetus, that
Ms.
is
Clark.
what
Ms. Clark.
led to
I don't want to hear
the
this.
exchange at Sidebar, Your Honor. Mr.
No, Ms. Clark, I don't want to hear about that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the refusal to avoid, the refusal to obey the court's order, not to address that issue, not to speak to the court, as I was hearing from one counsel, not to interrupt the court. And the court gave 3 admonitions, and Mr. Darden chose to ignore those.
Mr. Darden did not choose to ignore them. I think Mr. Darden was simply at that time overcome with what has been transpiring with Mr. Cochran's cross-examination. It was not a desire to flaunt the court's authority, although I would point out to the court that the court's order to stop and desist has been ignored by the defense time and time and time again with no citation. No citation. Mr. Darden is simply responding to the events that have been occurring in this courtroom today and have been occurring throughout cross-examination. I myself have become overwhelmed by the fact that the jury has been given hearsay, has been given, and the record will stand by what I said, slop, in the form of counsel testifying before
Counsel,
every witness.
Didn't I just tell you I didn't want to hear that? I'm interested in a contempt proceeding.
And if the court would like to set the matter for OSC, then we will proceed to OSC. I don't think it's required. I think
No,
that
it's not required. I can do it summarily. Do you want to push it to that?
No.
Then how come you
I'm-
haven't taken the opportunity? When I invite counsel to take 3 deep breaths and think very carefully about what they're going to say to the court next, that's an opportunity to get up and say, gee, I'm sorry, I lost my head there. I apologize to the court. I apologize to counsel. When you get that response, then we move on. When you tell the court you want to have an order to show cause, that's a different response. That says you want to fight. You want to fight some more with the court? You're welcome to do so. I'm going to take a recess. I'm going to give you and Mr. Darden an opportunity to think about this carefully, with about 10 deep breaths, perhaps. Have I made myself clear?
You have? Shall I take off my watch and my jewelry?
10 minutes. Probably bad karma, Mr. Neufeld, today. Huh?
We'll ask him to step outside if you like.
Good afternoon, counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Any further comment?
We would ask leave of the court to recess at this time so that we can be present with appellate counsel tomorrow morning.
It's a pretty simple procedure. You wish to pursue this?
We are only asking for the opportunity at this time to confer with counsel.
Well, you seem to have two options. Either you offer an apology to the court and we proceed, or we proceed to a contempt hearing. Those are your choices. Request for a continuance is denied.
We would like the opportunity to confer with counsel before we resolve this matter, Your Honor. And is the court then not going to afford us that opportunity?
No.
We could proceed with the trial and resolve the matter at the conclusion of the day or in the morning tomorrow. And that way we wouldn't have to take up any more court time with this matter at this time.
It's a very simple way to terminate this, Ms. Clark.
I'm aware of that.
I think I've offered it to you twice already now. I don't know that I have to do it a third time. But I'm prepared to go forward if you wish to choose, if you choose otherwise.
Well, even if the court is prepared to go forward with the contempt proceeding, we're entitled to counsel, are we not?
It's a civil contempt, counsel. Has to be adjudicated immediately. Unless you want to make it a criminal contempt and have a jury trial. Love to see the voir dire in that case.
Me too. Can we use the same jury, Your Honor?
Ms. Clark, you know, all levity aside, I've offered you now 3 times an opportunity to end this right now. This is very simple.
Perhaps it
And
would be-
perhaps if Mr. Darden had the opportunity to review the transcript that I have before me, he'd see the wisdom of that.
And perhaps we would like to review it as well, but why don't we review the transcript, Your Honor?
Mr. Spence, your comments aren't
And-
necessary. I heard him. I have great ears.
I'm sorry?
Never mind.
Okay.
You guys make me feel like Mr. Kimball.
Who?
Never mind.
I'm not literate enough.
Let me see counsel at the sidebar without the reporter, please. Mr. Hodgman, you join us, please. Thank you, counsel. Mr. Darden?
Your Honor, thank you for the opportunity to review the transcript of the sidebar. It appears that the court is correct that perhaps my comments may have been or are somewhat inappropriate. I apologize to the court. I meant no disrespect. However, I did have some concerns I would like to take up with the court when the court is available to hear my concerns. I apologize.
Mr. Darden, I accept your apology. I apologize to you for my reaction as well. You and I have known each other for a number of years, and I know that your response was out of character, and I'll note it as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's have the jury, please.